that's probably where my genius zone is organizing information in a way that does solve a problem, most importantly, and they can monetize it, because there needs to be an entire commercial aspect to it. Otherwise, what is the point? You've just got this amazing brand, but what do you do with the brand? Now suddenly you've got, what you kind of want to do, but how are you going to deliver it? How do you create ecstatic brand experiences? So when prospects touch your brand, they get in some type of ecstatic experience, or when a client finishes working with you, they become your brand advocate, which is the goal that I aim for.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to 7 to 8, our special series on 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. In this special series, I interview $1 million, some $10 million, and even some $1 million business owners who uncovered their twists and turns in their entrepreneurial adventure in order to help you to avoid the potholes and stick to the fast track. Welcome now to center stage, our next special guest. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Mary. Mary, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So give everybody a highlight of who you are and a quick description of your business.
Okay, so I live in Melbourne in Australia, and I've been an entrepreneur, business owner since 2005. I left the corporate sector, with that courageous, audacious goal. This is my third startup. I'm now basically a full-time coach, and I work with only industry experts who have accumulated a lot of knowledge and wisdom and skills, and I help them commercialize, digitalise and systemize their wisdom into a brand and a business.
Love it. So how did you get into coaching as a thing?
Well, Michelle, I had a software company for 7 years, and, it was fairly decent size. I was turning over multiple seven figures, and it was one of those moments. I think it's a sliding door moment. Literally 3 hours after I gave birth to my second son, I reached out to get my lip balm, and my business card fell out of my purse onto my bed. And I held that business card. And in that moment, I thought, oh my God, this business card is actually defining who I am in society. That label, managing director, is validating my presence in society. And moreover, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, that was the biggest confronting question. And the answer was no. I didn't want to own a software company. I didn't want to micromanage people. I was just tired of that whole industry. It just felt like it was an uphill battle. And I resigned from my own company 2 weeks after that, my own company, where I've built an infrastructure. There's multiple seven figures. I've got clients. And I was with my accountants, and they were like, I think you might be hormonal. And I'm like, no. I know what I'm doing. And in January of 2012, I went on a 12-month sabbatical to really find out what I want to do for the rest of my life. And the interesting thing is that I had no regret of doing what I did. Thankfully, I merged my business with another business, and I was free, so to speak. But it just also made me realize that, sometimes we do things not because we want to do them. Sometimes we do things because we want validation. And in my case, I was looking for still validation from my parents. And when I recognized that and realized what I really wanted to do, it was what I'm doing now. I was made to do what I'm doing now.
I love that. Well, and it's an interesting concept to be able to resign from your own company. Because I'm assuming, because it was a software company, that there was like a board in place and all that kind of fun stuff. So there's actually somebody there to take over, when the majority of us are like, I quit. Yeah, that's nice. The dog's like, yeah, okay.
It was actually very interesting, because the thing is that you're right. You've got an infrastructure, and all the people in that infrastructure are also making money out of the infrastructure, so it's like, well, what do we do now? I didn't care about the money, though. It was just more about my soul. Like I really wanted to be in a place where I truly, truly was happy and content, with the service I was bringing to the world. So it was very nice. Yeah.
I love it. And I totally get it, because I think oftentimes we set goals for ourselves and we just don't know. It's just, hey, I'm curious. I wonder what this would be like. Or as a business owner, we take over things and it's not right for us. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I need to fire her because she sucks and I'm pointing myself. Like I've done that before many times, going, I don't care who does this job, but it's not her anymore because she's sucking at it and she's killing my company.
Spot on. Exactly.
Totally get that. So right now, when you're working with clients, what is your bigger focus? I'm assuming it's going to be their lifestyle, their passions, but what are you looking at when you're working with them?
I'm looking first and foremost at bringing the natural state of being of an individual into the forefront. And I think that we forget to do that. What a lot of people try and do is they're trying to become something that they're not. And what we need to recognize is that wisdom is an intellectual currency. It truly is. And it's something that no one can take away from you. It's something that you own, and it gets better and better with time. And yet we look at wisdom and we think, oh, that's a lovely memory of my past. I had the great career. I met this person, I did this, I traveled here, and it suddenly just becomes this memory in the mist. And then people are trying to look for something to do, right? And this is the danger. And so when I work with people, I start with understanding who they are in their natural state of being. And in fact, we're actually defining their brand based on who they truly are, not who they want to be. So when I'm looking at personal branding, we've actually built an entire software to actually help us do this, because I really want to work with fact, like give me the data and let me figure out in that data who you are. How are you going to show up in this world? What is your archetype? What is your strength? What can you do with ease and grace? And that's really what I try and figure out, rather than trying to go, oh yeah, you could do this, and what have you thought about doing this, and wouldn't it be amazing if you could do this, instead of saying, this is who you are and this is what you can do with ease and grace, and let's just focus on that. And what it does, it actually just eliminates so much pressure of the people that I work with, because Michelle, they're already industry experts. They already have 20, 30 years of experience in their area of specialization. We don't have to look for anything outside of that. So there's a lot of freedom there. And then also, I help them systemize that process as well. And that's probably where my genius zone is organizing information in a way that does solve a problem, most importantly, and they can monetize it, because there needs to be an entire commercial aspect to it. Otherwise, what is the point? You've just got this amazing brand, but what do you do with the brand? Now suddenly you've got, what you kind of want to do, but how are you going to deliver it? How do you create ecstatic brand experiences? So when prospects touch your brand, they get some type of ecstatic experience, or when a client finishes working with you, they become your brand advocate, which is the goal that I aim for. And then, of course, we need to look at the layers of the lead generation strategy that surround that, because when you become an entrepreneur, you and I both know that you need to make money, and you don't have a paycheck to rely on on the 15th of every month. You're the one that's creating that income. So I wrap that whole commercial aspect around who they are as a brand and what problem they can solve.
I love it. And I particularly love that you've taken soft skills and turned them into hard data, something that seemed ambiguous, and turned it into, no, this is real, and we can funnel this down into a pinpoint. And I can only but imagine what that feels like for your clients, because for so many years it was like, yeah, but what's my thing? Yeah, but what's my thing? And it can be extremely frustrating not knowing what your thing is.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I recognize, Michelle, in that's a very good point you've raised, is that, so how many people are searching for their purpose? I don't know what my purpose is in life. I'm trying to find my purpose in life. And what I recognize is that purpose is not out there somewhere that you read, or suddenly you think, oh, that's my purpose. Purpose lies in between your knowledge, your wisdom, and your skill set. It's in there. And then once we actually recognize that, and recognize that as our currency, then we actually can do something with it. Then you get excited, because you suddenly can see, oh, hang on a minute, I already have the inventory to pursue my purpose. I just don't know what it looks like yet. So, and I think that that's very enlightening when people hear it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people are looking to be kind of quote unquote discovered. And when you have a system that discovers it, it's like all they have to do is acknowledge it and go, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. It becomes the thing. That's awesome.
Well, yeah. And also the thing is, and also it's not about being famous. It genuinely is about how can I help a business or a human being solve a problem with the skills and the knowledge that I already possess. And also, how can I solve, and also I know I can solve that problem because I've done it a million times before. So it comes naturally to me. And we have to go to that place where we're being and not doing, because when we're doing, it's an uphill battle. And that tells me immediately you're not in your natural state.
Right. And so many people dismiss that as it's too easy. It can't be valuable because I just have so much fun doing it. And it's like, well, no, actually, that's the thing that people want from you because it's not easy for them.
Well, Michelle, you're right. Like when I work with clients, I've never been asked, hey, can you show me your degrees and PhDs and your masters and your thesis? No one has ever asked me that. By the way, I don't have a PhD, but
and if I had a thesis, it would be
I'm not in a hurry to get one either. But they don't even ask me, oh, can you help? Can I see your software or your frameworks? They just want me. They want my wisdom, and we have to recognize that the client wants the wisdom. They want to be around that energy. They want to know, oh my God, yes, this is exactly what I've been looking for. But we have to deliver on the promise too. Like, it's not just about saying, oh yeah, come my way, I'll take your money, and we'll kind of figure it out as we go along. Absolutely not. There really does need to be a system behind what it is that you bring to the table, because not only does it give the client confidence, but it also helps you actually guide them through the steps until they get to their macro destination. And it just makes it the whole experience so much easier, because at the end of the day, we are looking for brand advocates.
Well, I am loving you're preaching to the choir, because for so many years it really frustrated me that people who are kind of at that time in their 50s and 60s were saying that they weren't valuable because companies wouldn't hire them. I'm like, no, you're overpriced because you have so much value that they just can't feel like they can't afford you right now, and they don't want to kind of invest in something that they might lose. But when you're looking at branding yourself with that amount of wisdom and knowledge and experience, then I would think it becomes easier to be able to acknowledge that is too valuable to be still in an employee box, and it's time to step out and brand.
I think one of the biggest issues for a lot of people, Michelle, just to extend what you were saying, is that when we can clarify the one complex problem that we can solve and speak to one very specific audience, it makes it very, very, very easy to be seen and to be heard. So we need to build a believability meter and a trustability meter. And the only way we can do that is that when we can define the one complex problem we can solve, and the messaging is all around that speaks to that one audience who is the perfect avatar, let's just say. And so what I find is a lot of people can do a lot of things, and they're trying to sell all of those things, and the client gets completely overwhelmed and confused. It's so much easier to just stick with the one complex problem. And what I do when I'm working with my clients is, because a lot of my clients have got degrees coming out of their ears, like it's just ridiculous. And they're like, oh, but I studied 5 years for that, or I've got that credential, but where does that fit in? And what I say is this: let's just focus on the one complex problem that you can solve. Within your solution, your system, we would incorporate all of those things that you can do. The client doesn't need to know the micro yet. All the client needs to know is, do you have the capability to solve my problem, to reduce my pain or enhance my life? That's all the client wants as the starting point. And then from there, we can take them through the process of how we do it. And I think that a lot of people, even the experts that I work with, it's like, oh, but I want to do this. And what about this? But did you know that I could do that as well? And so, I mean, I'm confronted with this all the time. But just as people are listening to our conversation, it is so much more powerful to just get to that one complex problem, because that's how you charge premium pricing.
Absolutely. So would you say that most people are aware of what their client's problem is, or is that something that kind of they need to do some research on and figure out or narrow down into what that one thing is?
A lot of my clients are industry experts, so they already know where the gaps are in their industry. So they're not looking at finding a niche. They already know the industry or the niche that actually needs the problem solved. Their issue is, how do I merge my 20 years into a solution? And sometimes, Michelle, there is another audience, by the way, and we can see that just through that phase of unpacking all of their, what I call their internal inventory. And sometimes I'll recognize something and go, there's a really big opportunity right here. And, there's an audience right here that needs your problem solved. And it's interesting that when that I don't have the issue about, and this is the great thing about working with industry experts, is that they already know where the gap is. So it's just closing that gap. And for me, it's a lot easier, but also a lot more fulfilling.
Nice. And with somebody like you on their side, to be able to hone that into 3 words or less, because often experts are like, and it's a there's this whole sentence and paragraph of what it is that they do. And it's like, okay, 3 words or less. How do we?
Oh, well, I always make a joke of this, and I'm like, so when you go to a dinner party and you've met somebody, they've never met you before, and the question is, what do you do? What do you give them? The 45-minute version, or do you give them the 10-second version? Which one is it? And most will go, oh God, yes, I'm the 45-minute one. Well, we're going to stop that, because that's what people switch off. How many times have you been to a networking event and they're like, yes, well, I am a coach, during the day. And then, I coach, basketball on the weekends. Oh, did I mention that I also sell weight loss? Because, I actually had really successful weight loss. Oh, by the way, I also do some multi-level marketing on the side. And you're like, what is it that you do? I have no idea where you're going with this. I just switch off in that instance.
Right. That's awesome. So who would you say, like, is it mostly people that are looking to go into coaching consulting that you're working with to get that personal brand, or who would you say is your ideal
I
client?
work with people that have, professional service companies like accountants, HR, recruitment companies, right through to individuals who are leaving a senior corporate role and they want to transition into a consulting, full-time consulting, or a coaching business. So it's kind of both of those people, because they are industry experts. At the end of the day, they've got a lot of experience under their belt. And I work with mature people, people who are serious about what they do. They're already recognized as the industry expert within their industry. Going solo is actually quite scary for a lot of these people. So, it's just great to have someone, to do it with, rather than do it on, try and figure it out on your own. And I'm, coming from a software background, I'm very systemized. So my approach is first implement, and then you embody that version of you. So I truly believe in that idea that you can't just go into woo-woo land and try and figure it out, and hope for the best. There really needs to be a structure behind the individual, if you will, before you actually embody that version of you.
Nice. I love it. So can you give us an example of a Cinderella story of a client that you've worked with?
Oh my God, there's so many. I'll just give you a couple. I've got one client who is an industry expert in the big pharma space. And this is someone that's got a PhD, and she is an expert in writing documentation. I mean, go figure. So, but what she does is she works with big pharma from the inception of an idea or a drug that they want to develop and market and commercial, and she will be called in to document the entire process from the idea right through to the laboratory, to the logistics, to the partners, you name it. So they would engage her typically for a 2-year project, and she would charge anywhere from $500,000 for her services. This is one client. And so when she came to me, it was like, look, I know that I can actually teach people in these companies how to actually do what I do. So it saves me. I only want to take on 2, 3, 4 clients a year, but I actually want to teach people in those organizations how to actually do what I do. So we had to systemize. Could you imagine systemizing this whole process of documentation? Like, think about that. That's full on. So
Yeah.
we had to create.
And everybody else is worried about their onboarding process and how they systemize it.
She's out there. She's amazing though.
Wow.
She's actually captured her own niche. Like, she's a master of her craft. Anyway, so we designed her methodology. She actually ended up creating an entire online program as well. So a whole learning management system to support it. Of course, we did her branding, etc., and her lead generation strategy. Her audience is just on LinkedIn. And so within the first 3 months of working with me, she got $2 million worth of new business. And now, why did she do that? Because she had very, very clear messaging. Her whole LinkedIn strategy was just targeted at this very specific niche, who could see her, who could hear her, and then reached out to her, because it's a problem in that industry. So she's, from then on, she's just flying, so that's just one person who's what I would call in a nano niche. She's not even in a micro niche, she's in a nano niche. So the reason why I wanted to give this example is that when you're in a nano niche like that, you command your demand, because there's not many people like you. And it wasn't necessarily about her having a PhD either, by the way. It was because she was able to articulate her methodology so clearly and with clarity. And on top of that, she was now able to commercialize her methodology into an online program and actually train other people in those pharmaceutical companies to actually do what she does. So it was a very smart idea, because it saves. So she can only take on 4, maybe 5 projects at the most, because it's time consuming, even though she's got a small team behind her. But it's so much smarter to actually train people to do what it is that you do. It's very empowering. So that's just one example there. There's another example of another client. She's actually based in Saudi Arabia, and she has a psychology background and a journalism background, and a very strong sales background. So could you imagine merging these 3 things together? Oh, and by the way, she's a concert violinist. So could you imagine all these attributes? And I'm like, where do we start with this one? So anyway, we actually created an amazing program. She's just decided she only wants to work in the Middle East. So Saudi Arabia, the whole Middle East. She's not even she's not because she doesn't come from an Arabic background. She's actually Eastern European. So she's in Eastern European, blonde in Saudi Arabia, but she's absolutely owning her market because she can solve a problem. And we actually put more of her psychology background in the solution rather than all the other aspects, even though they were incorporated. But in Saudi, you have to understand the audience. They want that. That's what they want. They want the credential. They want to know that you've got the, the goods to be able to deliver on the promise. And she's in her first year, she started turning over multiple 6 figures. So she's just flying. And again, it all comes back to what I said before. It's understanding who your audience is, first and foremost, where the gap is, and how do you deliver that one solution, that one complex problem that you can solve. My process is the same for everyone, Michelle. It doesn't change. What changes is how the client delivers the solution to their customer, but again, they're all doing it in the same way as well. They're systemizing their knowledge, wisdom, and skill set, because it makes it so much easier to show the client, this is how I take you from pain to glory.
I love it. And I think you nailed that when you said that it's a systemizing of it, but I think it's so hard for people to systemize their thing, because one, they don't know, they think that they just go through a conversation with somebody, and when the person says this, they jump over to page 28 and give the answer, but page 28 doesn't really exist in the chronicle other than in the chronicles of their mind. And they need to be able to work with somebody like you to be able to brainstorm it, get it out on paper, put it in a lineal fashion, because in their brains, depending on how they work, if they're analyticals, they could have documentation in their mind in different ethos, let alone on different pages. So to be able to make that a linear process is phenomenally difficult for most people.
It is. And I think that you're right. I think 99% of the people that come to me, that's the pain point. That's like, I don't know. I mean, I've got physicians that, that work with me. It's like, really super smart people. And they're like, I have no idea how to merge all this together. But the way I approach it is very much like designing an algorithm. To me, it's no different. It's just information that I'm just organizing. And, my brain just happens to work like that. That's just the gift I've been given. So I'm going to leverage that, and use that gift because it's helping other people bring their genius into one solution. And as you say, when it's systematic, it's so much easier. Like it actually works. It's the system works itself. It's not, you're not pushing an uphill battle. You're actually flowing with it. And I think that's the key here.
Nice. Have you noticed that some people are coming to you and they're like, I just want to do this thing and I just want to have a laptop lifestyle. And you're like, you have $1 million idea. You are underserving your brain. Well,
the thing is that I don't work with people that say that to me anyway. Like if I ever hear
Fair
that,
enough.
it's like, listen, I think you're looking for a Hollywood director and you're not looking for me, like, because a lot of people, I love what you've just raised, because, a lot of people do actually want fame and a lifestyle first, rather than understanding the solution that they can bring to the table. You can't, $1 million idea can only exist if you can solve a problem in the world, period, right?
$1 million problem.
That's exactly right. It's as simple as that. Whether it's a product or a service, it's all up for grabs as long as you've got a solution. So I used to get a lot of the influencers, booking calls with me on Instagram, especially, on LinkedIn, on Instagram as well, mainly LinkedIn. These are people that had 3, 4, 500, 800,000 followers. And they would call me and they were like, I just want to, I want to build my brand. I'm like, well, you can't build your brand. You can only define it. Your clients and your audience will build your brand. You can't build your brand. So, tell me what you got, give me your background, what's your expertise. And what I found is a lot of those people, I would say 95% of the people that I spoke to who were considered as influencers were living on the poverty line, because not one of them were able to commercialize those enormous amount of followers. And number two, they actually didn't have an expertise. Like they were those sort of people that were in jobs for 2 minutes. I worked in a retail store, then sales, then this, then that. How do you work with those sort of people? Because I don't have anything solid to work with. And so it's no wonder why they put so much energy in social media, because it's like it's the only way they can validate their self-worth. I'm not saying that you can't become a multi-millionaire by being an influencer, but I'm not, what's her name, Caitlyn Jenner, promoting my lipsticks and getting all these multi-billion-dollar contracts. I'm a solopreneur, so the only way I can bring $1 million to the table is actually through my expertise, which is why I keep saying that wisdom is the currency. That's the only way that we can solve big issues in the world, is through our wisdom. And when people lack that, what do I work with, Michelle? Like there's no inventory for me to work with. It's just air. And so typically I say to those people, I think what you're looking for is a Hollywood, director to make you famous. And I'm not in that business. I'm in the business of genuinely helping humans commercialize their genius zone. So you can't help those people.
That's awesome. So what are some of the stumbling blocks that somebody might be having right now going, oh my God, Mary, I need you so badly?
I think the first thing is, what I like people to recognize is take a step back and just really genuinely look at your last 20 years of your life experience and recognize that within there is a solution to a complex problem. Don't walk away from that wisdom and just just think, well, that was just a sheer memory of my past. Because as you said before, Michelle, most people think, oh, but everyone can do what I do. Yes, everyone may do what you do, but they just can't deliver it in the way that you deliver it. Big difference. And so I think that what we need to do is recognize that if you've had 20 years in finance or in the sales industry or big pharma or in recruitment or in career coaching, or you're a C-suite in any capacity, and you're thinking, I'm just done with this, this hamster wheel. I want to get off it. I know I can solve it. I know I can create my own destiny. I know I can replace my salary. At the very least, everyone who's got that level of inventory can replace their salary. I do this every day with people. So what we need to look at is, well, what does that inventory actually look like? And if you feel that you can solve a problem, even in your industry, it now would be the time to do that. Because, and the reason I say now, Michelle, look at all of the AI machines that are producing content now. To me, that is really dangerous. I'm okay using it for my headlines, my titles on my YouTube videos. I've got a software, I upload my YouTube video, the AI says, would you like us to look at a better title for you? Hell yes. So there I go. Oh, that's actually a really cool title. I'll use that. Okay, that for me is awesome. But let's look at where this is going. We are going to get the rise. Those influencers that I spoke about that don't have a background, what they will do is they will use AI machines to create content and create coaching programs, sell them maybe not premium at $20, $50, $100,000, but they will actually start to steal market share from people who are genuine industry experts. So if anyone is listening to this and you're thinking, oh my God, that's exactly what I've been sitting on for the last 12 months, now would be the time to actually do something about that. And so that you can actually be seen as the industry expert in your industry or your niche before those other people take over and start selling false solutions just based on some AI machine that's spitting out regurgitated content from all other sources. So I feel that there are millions of people that are sitting on this gold mine and they're doing nothing with it.
I love it. I love it. And I could talk to you forever about it. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start their journey with you?
Well, you can reach out and just connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm at Mary Henderson Coaching. Email me, mary@maryhendersoncoaching.com, or book a call with me, maryhendersoncoaching.com/apply, APPLY.
Nice. And we will, of course, have all of your links in the show notes. So peeps, you know where to find those. Just scroll down and click on the links. Bounce over there right away. Awesome. So Mary, at what point in life did you know that you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I think, Michelle, the day I was born, my dream was to become a performing artist, because my voice is professionally trained from the age of 5 to 20. So I have a voice, and my parents wouldn't allow me to pursue a career as a singer or a performing artist. That was just a no-go zone. So I had to find a way to channel that gift, which was my voice, which is, I guess, why I do what I do now. But I think it was actually when I was 5, like just that performer in me, just always wanting to be on the microphone. And so for me, it was more about self-expression, Michelle. I always wanted to bring out that inner Mary out into the world. And, you lock her up for a while, but then when you let her out, as an adult, it's like it's a whole new paradigm. So I think that we all know at a young age that, we've got something about us that's different to everybody else. It's just, if you've got great parents who can massage that, amazing. I unfortunately didn't have that environment. So I was trying to figure out, whoa, where do I go now? I was just so curious. Nothing's changed, Michelle. I'm still that curious, crazy person, and I think that's what I love about my personality. It's like, I'm always curious. It's like, well, how did that happen? Why did that happen? So I like to go down the rabbit hole all the time.
I love it. And I can feel it already. It's like, yeah, there's something going on here. This is going to be a lot of fun. That is awesome. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Follow your bliss, take that wisdom and turn it into something. That's all I can say.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know how
Thank you,
valuable
Michelle.
it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow. Thank you for listening to 7 to 8. If you're interested in upping your speaking game, be sure to connect with our guests with the links in the show notes and connect with me to see how we can help you get your tech done for you and help your speaking dreams come true.